Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, and I am here with the one and only Coach. He's back with us after our NBA Finals podcast that we did. He is back for the Olympic basketball. So, Coach, I know you're fired up for this. This is a awesome time. It only happens once every 4 years, but I know that you're very passionate about this. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about the Olympic field this year.
Well, thanks for having me on, Josh. It's always great to be back. This always feels like home. I still have the backdrop that comes up there, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And I had to dust off the old USA basketball hat with it hasn't seen the light of day in a couple of years. So I'll be sporting that for the next month.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good.
Thanks, man. How are you doing? How are you and family? Everybody good?
Doing well. We are doing well. And I do want to mention, now that you mentioned that, if we could give your thoughts and prayers to our colleague, Doug. I have not heard from him since Saturday. He hasn't been feeling well. He went to the hospital. So I am concerned about him. Hoping that he's okay. He's our MLB expert. For those of you that are not familiar with our podcast, if this is your first time joining us, him and I cover MLB together for DFS Coach Talk. So, yeah, just want to send all our thoughts and prayers to him. Hope he's doing okay, and hope to hear from him soon. Not really much else I can say about that. If you're new to DFS Coach Talk, we would love to have you join us. You can send us a DM on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk. We have memberships that start as low as $4.99 a week. If this is your first time viewing a DFS Coach Talk podcast or you're not a member yet, we have a special deal. I will be giving out a week membership to one of you that's new. This is your first time here, in the podcast, or new to DFS Coach Talk, not a member yet. One of those two, we will get you a free membership. So definitely stay tuned for that. And I think that's about all I got this morning, Coach. So if you want to go ahead and take it for this afternoon, and kind of take it from here.
Absolutely, man. And to go back a ways with Coach Talk, when we first started it, we always tried to make a difference or fill the gaps where some other providers maybe weren't bringing all the information forward for certain events. We, Josh and I have done it all, from KBO baseball to FIBA basketball, summer league basketball. We like those oddities are still where you can make a ton of money. And Draftkings has some fantastic contests. Contests are already up for Saturday. So with the Olympics, it goes July 27th, which is Saturday, all the way through till August 10th is the gold medal game. And what we want to do here is what we've done in the past, is just put out all the information possible that we can on the Olympics, so that you can build some DFS lineups that are going to be winners on DraftKings, or you can build some side bets or the prize picks of the world and all of those. Hopefully this gives you a feel. So, take some notes, bear with us. You may want to re-listen to it as the games come up. For example, the USA team doesn't play until Sunday, but there are 3 games that kick off the Olympics on Saturday. So if Josh bears with me, what I'll do is I'm going to go over the rosters a bit. I'm going to talk about the odds of the teams to win it, so you can know sort of who's in the hustle to get there. And then we're going to talk about the NBA players that are actually on rosters with these 12 rosters, because they generally dominate. There's going to be a handful, 5 or 6 guys that really contribute, but they're mostly going to be NBA players. We don't have Luka and a couple of the guys because their teams didn't qualify for the tournament. But we'll go over, make sure that we mention the guys that may fly under the radar, that especially in the first couple of games you can get where before anybody jumps on the bandwagon and sees statistically. Because what we found in the past, Josh, if you remember, FIBA, and which is every 2 years different from the Olympics. FIBA and the Olympics, we've been able to do terrific for the
Oh
Coach
yeah.
Talk. Yeah, and especially in that first 3 or 4 games, because everybody else has to sort of figure it out. We try to give you a jump start so that you can get on it right away. So
absolutely.
yes. So let me start out by saying there's 12 teams that qualify. That's it. So it's not as deep of a field as FIBA that plays. It's the 12 that pair down. Some of the teams barely qualified and got in. Some, like Luca and such, their teams did not make it. So Group A is Australia, Greece, Canada, and Spain, which is really a tough group. I mean, you've got 4 teams there that are terrific. Canada is second favorite to win the gold. Australia is good, and then you've got Giannis. And Spain is down, but they're always competitive. So that's a great bracket.
For sure.
The Group B is France, who obviously a terrific team. They finished second to us in the last Olympics, and they loaded up. So France, the team to watch, and they're in there with Germany, Japan, and Brazil. So not nearly as tough of a group as A. And then our group is Serbia, of course, the Joker and company. So that's going to be a little tough. South Sudan, who almost beat us, we pulled it out by 1 point in that last friendly. So that's a scary team.
For sure.
And then one of the weaker teams, Puerto Rico. So, the way it works, Josh, I know you're familiar with it, but what happens is the top 2 teams from all 3 groups make it. And then the next 2 best records that finish third. So 8 out of the 12 teams make it to that single elimination medal round. 4 are eliminated after the round robin. And then once we get into that medal round, you lose, you're out. So, that's where we've been stung in some of the tournaments coming up to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Pretty interesting group, though, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. Now, I know a lot of people, they were talking, I think it was during the, maybe during the South Sudan game, they were talking about Group B is the toughest. Do you agree with that? Or do you think, I mean, to me, they all look pretty tough, honestly. I mean,
I think
how they played the U.S.,
Yeah, I think Group A is the toughest by far, because you've got 3 legitimate teams in that group that could win gold. I mean, they're that close to being that good in this scenario. So, again, as you've seen in most of these games leading up to it, there's a lot of close games, a lot of competitive games. Those days where we're blowing teams out by 40 and 50 points, that's only going to happen with a couple of the very bottom teams. But in general, you got to bring it every night, because there's a lot of teams in here, and South Sudan's a perfect example. I mean, they were great. And we're not going to have Kevin Durant, it looks like, for the first game. He's going to miss that game on Sunday against Serbia, according to Brian Whitfield. Yeah, so that we were expecting to get him back. Eventually, I think he'll be back during the run here, probably when we get to the medal round.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's going to miss that first game. Not that we have a lack of depth. I mean, our squad is just amazing. I mean, you've got guys like Halliburton, who looks like he may not even get in. He's slid down the bench in each game, all the way till this last game where he didn't play. So he's somewhat out of that rotation. They're playing 10, 11 guys, but, we'll see if how that plays out, and if we keep everybody healthy. And then obviously when Durant comes back, that'll move everybody down a spot as well. So.
Yeah. How do you think the U.S. lineup is going to go? Like, I know they made a lot of different rotations and stuff during the group, or the not group play, but the exhibition round. And
You'll find what I found a lot of success the last time, and I'll do it again this time, and I did in FIBA. USA guys are the superstars that have all the names. Unfortunately, they get priced pretty high, higher than they should be. And because of the depth and the split minutes, you're talking a lot of these other teams will have 2 or 3 guys on the caliber with our 11th and 12th guy.
Yeah.
So when you look at it in pure, as we've always said it, minutes equal money. And, and you're going to have some of these teams that are depending solely on 1 or 2 or 3 guys at the max to do, play enormous minutes, do most of the scoring, ball handling, where with us, I'll be fading a lot of USA players quite a bit because there's just such a split of minutes and split of responsibility. And, who are the go-to guys going to be? With KD out, LeBron obviously is stepping up. Ant is acting as, though he's going to step up. Anthony Davis has done well in the exhibitions, but those 3 guys are the first 3 I would probably look at. But it's really hard to spend the kind of money on the USA guys, the Drew Holidays and all these guys, when their role, could be pretty minimal. So,
sure.
That's the tough part about people wanting to play the USA guys is it's not always the best value. And, we've had a lot of success in the past fading a lot of the USA guys.
Makes perfect sense. I mean, you look at South Sudan, you mentioned them. I mean, they only had like maybe 3 guys that were really doing all the scoring. So
yeah. Well, we'll touch on that a little bit when we break these rosters down. Let me throw some odds at you, and I'll quiz you. So no cheating. I love, the old days when I used to quiz you.
Right.
And we'll see if you could get them. So we know the USA is favored. They're minus 500, which isn't bad. I remember back in the days where they were minus 25,000 or some insanity back before. Yeah, it was, way back to the glory days of the dream teams and stuff. That just nobody could compete with us. But minus 500 is not that great, but still the favorites. I mentioned Canada is the second choice, barely at plus 1,100. And they are absolutely loaded. We'll go over their roster. But now I'm going to quiz you. 3, 4, and 5. Who are the next 3 favorites to win the Olympic gold medal after the USA and Canada?
France.
One is a slam dunk. Yes, France.
Okay.
France is plus 1,200. Personally, I think they should be like plus maybe 800-900. I think they are absolutely terrific squad. That's the team I'm most afraid of. But
we didn't play them, right? We did not play them in the exhibition round.
No, and they're just loaded. I don't know how you get any shots off inside of 3 with Wemby and all the bigs that they have. My God, they just have a plethora of them.
Gobert, right?
Gobert and Gobert and Wemby blocking shots in the paint. So that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right, so now it gets tough.
Because
4 and 5.
I was just thinking that's really huge because, no pun intended, because with LeBron, I mean, he was really the reason that they were able to win was just dominating in the paint. Well, when he goes against Wemby and Gobert, he's not going to be doing that. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's not like that's all they have. I mean, they have a bunch of really good players and a bunch of NBA players. So we've got our work cut out for us. I'm telling you, I wouldn't empty the bank account on USA for the gold. I mean, I hate to say that I'm wearing the hat. I'm rooting harder than anybody, but it's just, Canada and France specifically, those 2 are extremely dangerous. But all right, no avoiding. Who are the next 2, man?
I wasn't avoiding. USA, Canada, France. Man, I would say Germany, but I don't know.
Germany is sixth. They
6.
did not.
Okay.
They are sixth at plus 3,000. There's two other teams that are more favorite than them.
Okay.
Any other
One of
shots?
them's got to be Serbia.
Serbia is correct. They're fourth. That's plus
Okay.
1,600.
Mm-hmm.
And, Joker is the reason that for that.
For
And,
sure. And
he
they didn't
deserves.
have Bogdanovich when they played us either. So
That's right. Yeah, they're gonna be a good team, man.
yeah,
If he's super hot and having one of his triple double games, yeah, he's gonna
for
be a
sure.
threat, no doubt. I'll give you a clue on the fifth one. Who's that?
South Sudan.
No, South Sudan is plus 25,000. They're the third longest shot on the board, and they almost beat us.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
As a Milwaukee Bucks fan, you should be ashamed of yourself for not getting the fifth.
Yeah, easy. Be honest. Yeah, so Greece. I thought about Greece, but then I mean, I don't know. They didn't look that good to me in the exhibition round. So,
well, they're plus 2,000, so they are fifth.
Yeah.
So and that's the Giannis factor for sure.
For sure.
But real quickly, so after USA, Canada, France, Serbia, Greece, and then Germany, Australia, who's extremely dangerous, they can beat you on any given night. They've beaten us before. They beat us in FIBA. And then you've got two old stalwarts that used to be second and third, Spain and Brazil. Definitely not the threat they used to be.
Yeah.
Then South Sudan, and then the two weak teams that I think are going to get roughed up, Puerto Rico and Japan. So that's sort of top to bottom how the odds makers see it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I would have probably said before the tournament started, I probably would have said Greece would be one of the top, 3 or 4. But yeah, those other teams, they're really tough too. So
it's wide open. All right, let's shift to NBA players that are on the rosters. Let's touch on that because it's important as we start looking at this, and it'll help make my point on the fade aspect. Obviously, all 12 Team USA guys are all in the NBA. So there's your first drawback of, how do you play these guys?
Yeah. So why don't we just kind of do this play along and do this little quiz trivia thing? I think it'll make it more interesting. See how many of these NBA guys I can guess on these different countries.
Oh my God. That's going to be hard, brother.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one. All right. Well, Team USA, again, all 12. We don't even need to waste any time there. Here's interesting, and you're going to be stumped right off the bat. 2, 4, 6. There are 8 players on Team Australia that are in the NBA currently.
Wow. 8. Okay.
8.
Okay. Dante Exum.
Correct.
Josh Giddey.
Yes.
8. Wow. Oh man.
It's tough.
I may have bit off more than I can chew here, Coach.
That's all right. If you get a couple, that's good. I can give you some of them.
Yeah, I'm taking those 2 and leaving it alone because I don't
Okay.
know.
Dyson Daniels from Atlanta, who's an up-and-comer, nice ball player. Josh Green, ex-Mav, now with the Hornets. He was the one that came,
Oh, he's from Australia?
He's from Australia. Yeah, he's the reason we got Clay here in Dallas. But I'm going to miss old Josh Green. But he is Australian. Joe Ingles, Jingling Joe.
Oh, yeah, Joe Ingles. Yeah.
Yes. Then I think a guy you're going to get great value on because he's their only big is Jock Landale.
Okay. Yep.
We utilized him a lot, in different spots because he was a cheap center during the season. But he's a nice ball player, and he's a big fella, and he'll do it well. One you should have got because he's been on Team Australia since I think he was born, Patty Mills.
Yeah. Patty Mills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the youngster, the backup center, I think, to Landale will be Duop Reith from Portland. He got some good minutes at the end of the year. So
yeah, he was a rookie last year, right?
correct. He
Yeah.
was a rookie, but started coming into his own. So some key guys there, Dyson Daniels, Josh Green, Josh Giddey, obviously, Landell. They've got some guys you can play. But again, with 8 of them, there's some, they're going to have to share the ball a bit.
For sure. For sure.
All right, now this will blow you away. How about 10 Canadians out of the 12?
Yeah. Yeah, they had. I remember watching that game with the USA, and I was like, "Holy cow, he's in the NBA! He's in the NBA! He's in the NBA!"
Yes.
All right, let's see if I can remember them besides the obvious one with SGA. Goodness gracious, my mind's just not. Let's see.
You've only got 9 guys to work with.
Yeah, 9 to go. Let's see.
I think the best backcourt in the Olympics is SGA and this other gentleman.
Yeah, and I can't think of his stinking name.
I would take this backcourt over our backcourt. I hate to say it. How about
really?
Jamal Murray?
Yeah, Jamal Murray. Yeah.
How about that backcourt?
That's really good. That's ridiculous, actually. Let's see who else. I have to start getting some clues. How about position?
Oh God, we'll be here till the Olympics start at this pace. So you got your 20 seconds. Now I got to expose the rest of them. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Brooks, who will be looking to shut down, Ant or KD or whoever our top guy is.
Yeah.
Also, Luguentz Dort from Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got, Shea's one of his running mates and another great defender.
Yeah.
Trey Lyles, nice role player. Andrew Nembhard. How about that?
Yeah, Andrew Nembhard. Yeah.
He had a breakout year.
Yeah.
And then you got 2 old-time interior players in Kelly Olynyk, who should play a decent role.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, yeah. Dwight Powell. Yeah.
Disco Dwight Powell. He made the squad. He squeaked on the team. So,
wow.
Yeah, pretty loaded squad. But, I think I'll be SGA and Jamal Murray quite a bit because a lot of their other guys are great defenders. That's why this team is scary. Alexander Walker, Brooks, and Dort specifically, they can shut people down.
Right.
And I think you're going to get some good contributions, and Canada's going to be right in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it gets the list goes way down now.
Right.
Believe it or not, there's only 5 guys from France, even though we're doing all this chirping about France that are in the NBA right now. You should be able to get, Gobert and Wembanyama, because we said it.
You said that.
Interesting to see if you can get these other 3, though. They're not layups.
Mm-hmm. Is that guy Cabarro? Is he even in the NBA anymore?
No, he is not on the squad. Okay. He is not in the NBA.
But he was on the France team before, right?
I believe so, yes.
Cabarro or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He played.
Yeah. Shoot. Who else will be on the France team?
Yeah, one
of them, the guy that was the rookie or whatever that Atlanta took. Is he on there?
No, he has not made the squad yet. No.
Okay.
The rookie from last year, Koulibaly, from the Wizards.
Koulibaly. Okay, yeah.
He started playing a lot towards the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 grizzled veterans, but they'll help. Evan Fournier, who's actually an NBA free agent. He's not on a squad at the moment. Mm-hmm. And then their captain, probably Nicholas Batum. Batum's been there and done that a bunch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Batum's
Yeah, but they have a lot of players that play professionally. We'll go over their roster in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, even though they only have 5 NBA guys, the fact that Gobert and Wembanyama 1 and 2 in Defensive Player of the Year, that changes the dynamic a bit for
That's tough,
sure.
for sure. Yeah.
Your man Giannis
Giannis,
he's the sole guy.
Yeah, because Thanasis isn't even on there, is he?
No, the other brother is, even
Kostas?
though he's not in the NBA. The other
Kostas?
is, but Giannis is the only one currently in the NBA that was on a contract this year. So
Yeah, it cracks me up because you got Giannis and Papa Giannis.
Papa Giannis, and he'll play a lot too. He's
He
good.
definitely will. Yeah.
Yeah. You might be able to get the 2 Japanese players because they always get so much attention.
I do know those. I do know those two. Rui Hashimura and Yuta Watanabe. Yeah.
You got it, man. You win 4th place for and then I'm not even going to stump you on Spain because I know you'll burn too many brain cells, but it's Sante Aldama, who actually is a nice ball player, and we'll see quite a bit of coaching lineups.
Is he still with Memphis?
Yes, he actually had a heck of a stretch, at the end of the season when everybody was out for
me. I didn't know if he left in free agency or got traded or something during the off season. So,
yep. And then the other Spanish gentleman that he always plays great in FIBA, and he's had his cup of coffee in the NBA here recently, and that's Usman Garuba. He's another guy to really look at and consider. So that is it for the NBA guys. So again,
so Puerto Rico doesn't have any.
Puerto Rico has 0.
Wow.
So yeah, and so you're
South Sudan doesn't have any?
South Sudan does not. They have, let's see, unless that's changed. I'm going to go to the other roster. Okay, so now let's take a look at, and we'll talk about those real quickly, team by team, what their group looks like, and let's check on those ones that you just mentioned. We'll start with them. South Sudan they do have guys, JT Thor. He's trying to hang around the league. He's one of the guys. Wenyen Gabriel.
Yeah.
Then you've got Bull. So those guys are in the NBA or free agents trying to make a team. You remember the great Thon Maker.
I was going to say Thon Maker. Yeah.
So we got a lot of tweener guys that are like trying to make the NBA or coming to the NBA. Carly Jones, he's another guy that was on a roster.
Okay.
So they have a lot of guys that are right on the cusp, but I would, most of their players are going to be, just either trying to make an NBA roster or playing, professionally overseas. But
it's crazy because seeing those guys play the other day with South Sudan, and they're playing like all-stars, and they barely would ever even play in the NBA unless the team was winning by 30. It's like you would never see them even play, and here they are just absolutely tearing it up. So
they were absolutely unconscious. Yeah, they were unconscious. But
and that Shea guy, I think he played in the NBA for a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Mariel Shayok. He's had some time in the league. Those guys. I mean, this is their chance. I mean, if they shine in the Olympics, then that's going to lead to them getting an NBA contract or at least G League and trying to hook back on. But some of these guys will play in the NBA next year. I mean, Wenyen Gabriel's moved around like crazy. Bull had been, trying to stick and got some decent minutes for the Nuggets. So we'll see how these guys pan out, but definitely they'll probably lean on a couple of those top guys, so they'll be playable for sure. The other team that you mentioned, Puerto Rico, that's where it's very thin. I mean, you look, they have Jose Alvarado. That's your guy. So, he's the one guy that you're going to want to use because he's the
Sure. Yeah.
NBA experienced guy. Um, not a standout, but obviously good enough. Because you look at the rest of their team, up and down. There's just you have Tremont Waters, who's trying to make a squad. I think he was with Portland last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was decent at time. Other than that, man, Devon Reed is on their roster, their preliminary roster. So they've got some guys that hopefully it can contribute, but nothing outstanding.
Sure.
And then really Japan, the other team that, other than the two guys we mentioned, which are going to be very playable, Hashimura and Watanabe, there's really nobody else that jumps out. Baba played some decently. Yuki Tagashi, that's another name that you'll want to make a note on. They've played well in FIBA and helped Japan to qualify. But other than that, they're pretty thin. The other long shot teams, really Brazil, again, they're sort of on the downturn. They have like guys with good experience in Olympic ball and FIBA ball, and Raul Neto is in there.
Yeah. Raul Neto.
Cristiano Felicio, Bruno Caboclo, like you mentioned, those guys, Huertas, who was Marcelino Huertas, who I played a lot in the FIBA. He was on my winning lineup in the one tournament. But really after that, that's about it. They are not a strong team, but, they're two or three key guys, whether it be Huertas, Neto, Felicio, if you trust him, Caboclo, those guys you may be able to get some usage out of them, but certainly not anybody that's going to, score 40 points a game. So, other than that, let's see, Germany was the next team in there. Now they'll have some guys here in Bonga, Daniel Tice, De Silva's played in the league. And then you got the Wagner brothers. They're going to be very popular. Franz specifically, I think could be a super stud. I've got a big highlight mark on Franz Wagner. I think he's going to do really well, along with Mo Wagner and Dennis Schroeder. Those guys, Schroeder are the two Wagner brothers, I think, along with Daniel Tice and Bonga, are going to be very, very playable for Germany because they're not deep. Their bench is not deep, and that's where you're going to get some usage, high usage from these guys. And it may take a few games for other people to catch on, but Germany's definitely a team you can roster 2, maybe 3 guys in a specific day, because all the teams don't play in one day. You'll generally get like 3 games a day, and then they'll rotate there.
Yeah, they're not very deep and they're not very big. I mean, I think their biggest guy is like Daniel Tice, who's not that big himself.
Yeah, Tice and Mo Wagner are really their bigs.
Yeah.
But I think you can get some usage there. All right, let's go to some of the key teams now. We go to Spain is the other team that was did we mention Spain? No. Oh no. Yeah, we did.
Did we?
The Hernan Gomez brothers. They're back.
Yeah.
So they're both Willie and Juancho, and that's always confusing. And which one do you play and which one's better? For my money, Willie's the better player, the true center. And then they've got Alex Abrinas, who's played in the leagues, Aldama, who we mentioned, Rudy Fernandez, who's been in the Olympics for them for like 4 or 5 Olympics, and then Garuba and the Hernan Gomez. Sergio Lull who I used to play all the time. He is, again, really long in the tooth. I don't know what his role will be anymore. But I think if you focus on Aldama, Abrinas, the Hernan Gomez brothers, specifically Willie and Garuba, you're going to get, and some Rudy Fernandez. I'm sure he's got one last push in the tank. You could get some usable guys from Spain.
Sure. Yeah, he's somebody I remember from, like, wasn't he playing like back when Ginobili was playing? I mean, I feel like he's been playing.
Oh God, yeah. Some of these guys, literally, they're like 40. I mean, they're LeBron or older. Playing, representing their countries just forever. So it's the last hurrah for a lot of these guys, no doubt.
It's pretty crazy.
All right, so the main contender teams, then we've got to talk about Australia, and we mentioned them already. Absolutely packed with Daniels, Dellavedova, Exum, Giddy, Green, Ingles, Nick Kay, who played a decent role for them in the past, Landell, Patty Mills, and Duop Reed. So, you're going to get some good play out of those guys, but they're pretty deep, and they do play a lot of guys. And, so I'm not sure. You got to really feel that one out. I think, I feel like Giddy, after playing, after this trade now and, seeing him play a little bit in Summer League, I think, he might be a guy. And don't underestimate Dyson Daniels. I think that's an up-and-coming player in the league. I really think he's got talent. And Jock Landell, too. I mean, he's a big figure inside. And you can offense and defensive goaltend and all these crazy things. And, the rules in the Olympics are different, international rules. So some of those bigs, really, their stats get really, moved up. And even Duop, if he gets the minutes, can be, block 5-6 shots and, get 7-8 rebounds pretty easily. All right. Canada, we've got, who do we have left? Canada and the U.S., right?
Yeah, in the U.S., yep.
Yep. So Canada, the question is, again, the depth aspect. We talked a little bit about them, but, with Walker and Barrett, Kem Birch might be on that last spot, Dylan Brooks, SGA, Trey Lyles, Murray, Nembhard. Those are the key guys, Olynyk. I think you can just, focus on that backcourt with Murray and Alexander Walker, and Gilgeous Alexander, those two specifically. But, they're costly. But determining the other roles, I do think they have enough depth that they're going to pull some stats from each other. RJ Barrett, likes to chuck and duck.
Sure.
And, Nembhard is not shy. So they're going to get shots up, and, on any given night, those guys, I think, can really have an impact. And, if Kelly O's going to get big minutes or split them with Trey Lyles, I mean, Trey Lyles always gets stats per minutes. I mean, he'd come off the bench in the NBA, play 15, 18 minutes, and he'd, load up the stats. So, I like that may be very, helpful as well.
Yeah, I never understood why he didn't get more minutes. Like, it seems like every time he comes in, he's doing something good. So,
yeah, I mean, it's odd, but I think he can shoot the three too. So, I mean, he's a dangerous player. We'll see how big of his role is, but maybe a guy to roll out there early and see if they're really going to give him the opportunity, because he did have a couple of good seasons in a row here.
Yeah.
All right, USA. Where do you go USA wise? Obviously everybody's going to be high priced. The minutes are going to be split. I guess without KD specifically in that first game, which looks like isn't going to happen, that he's probably not going to play that first game or two. Do you go to LeBron? I mean, everybody's going bonkers with LeBron now after this last game and pulling it out and playing so well. So, you either LeBron or AD, it's going to be just like we did in the NBA in the old, the late
Yeah.
slate. Do
Right.
you take LeBron or AD today? It was one of those deals. So, I mean, those two guys, and then Ant, I think, is a nice play with KD not being back.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, that's where, I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I mean, you've got a pool of Curry, Embiid, and Tatum would be my next three. Can you afford to play either LeBron, Davis, or Ant, and then lay a Curry, Embiid or Booker or Tatum next to him? That's where you got to make the determination. I think, in my initial builds, it may be better to go, choose your big bullet from the USA side and then fill in with some of these other key guys. Because I don't know if you can afford to roster a Halliburton, a Holiday, a Bam Adebayo, a Derek White. I mean, I just don't think they're going to get enough usage and enough minutes to have a big enough impact.
No,
I could be wrong, and maybe in a specific game, if some of the games, if it's a blowout, you may see a ton of minutes, from a Derek White or something like that. So it's going to be a game by game scenario, but in the competitive games, like our first game is against Serbia and the Joker, I think that's who I've skipped. I skipped Serbia. So I skipped Serbia, but I think in those situations, in those real competitive games, you may want to stick with the higher ticket guy, and that's probably going to have your biggest impact. But Serbia, speaking of them, which is our USA's first opponent on Sunday, of course, it's all about Joker. Does he have enough with him? I mean, he's got Nikola Jokic from the Heat, who I really like his play. And then Bogdan Bogdanovic, who we know has had a great Olympics last time around. It was really fantastic, scored a lot. So Bogdanovic, the Joker, and Nikola Jovic. Jovic and Jokic. Yeah. Those will be your three keys. After that, though, man, it's really very thin. In my opinion, you've got really nobody rosterable initially here. I think those three are going to dominate, which means, I would love to have two of those three guys rostered on a lot of games because they're going to dominate. And I think Joker will be he and Giannis will be the two highest owned guys almost every game.
Yeah, I would think so.
They just dominate their teams,
right? So who would
the breakdown. That's the breakdown.
Yeah. So who would you use to combat, like in a GPP format? Giannis and Joker being the most popular. I mean, would you try and play like a balanced lineup and get maybe some of the lesser or second tier, I should say, players instead, or how would you approach that?
Well, a lot of it, again, it's going to be on when the games fall and who's all on. It's not like the NBA on a Friday night where everybody plays, and you're going to have to choose between, AD and Joker and Giannis or something. You're going to have the different groups of games. So that's all in the strategy. So to give an example, the first night, Saturday night, Draftkings already has all their prices and teams up. It's Japan, Germany, Brazil, France, and Canada, Greece. So you've got the opportunity, if you want Giannis, without having the Joker in there, you've got that opportunity. So Giannis will be like 1 billion% owned probably. He's 11,000, which is expensive, but there's a lot of value all over the board. So to give an example on that first day, you've got your SGA at 10.2, okay? And Wemby is 10.7. So there's your three big price ticketed guys. Now, can you afford two of those three? Not in my opinion, because if you do, then you're talking about filling in with, you know, Yabasili, Felicio, you know, those kind of guys.
Guys
Now
that are going
you
to
can,
give 10 fantasy points at best.
yeah, and that's, I mean, it just, even if those guys throw a 60 burger on the board and you got a 10, you know, you lose the punch there. So more than likely, I believe you have to choose between Giannis, Wemby, and SGA, and then build from there. Because you can still grab two of the other flight guys, which Franz Wagner, who I'm extremely high on,
Yeah.
and then Jamal Murray, who's right there. You know, I wouldn't suggest going SGA and Murray, you know, but you know, one or the other. Then you've got Gobert, Barrett. These guys are mid eights now. Schroeder, which is a real strong play if you know if you don't go with Franz Wagner. Again, you got to pick your spots. I wouldn't load up or stack much just because of usage.
Yeah.
But then you've got, I think, some overpriced guys. Dylan Brooks at 82, Evan Fournier at 78. You know, I think Rui's a great play at 8K. He's another guy you can you know stick in there. You know, then that second flight of guys, Daniel Tice, is he going to get the majority of minutes at the big, or is he going to split that with Mo Wagner? You know, those are low sevens for those guys. Koulibaly's only 7-1. I think, you know, even though they've got bigs, you know, Koulibaly's like a 2-3-4. He can play all those positions. And then, you know, then you may have to pull a rabbit out of your hat with a Nick Batum. Is he going to be the leader and get decent minutes out there? He very well could. Your buddy Papagiannis, you could play Giannis and Papagiannis together.
True. Yeah.
I think that's reasonable. You got a cheap Mo Wagner at 6,000. He's a nice plug-in. I think a guy that'll be very highly owned that's very underpriced is Watanabe. He's only 5,800. So there's a guy that could lead you to a second, more expensive guy.
Sure.
Or if you feel Nembhard is really taking the next step, even though I'm not going to risk it, not with Murray and SGA in front of him, but Nembhard's only 5,500, and you know he can go for 20 real points without much trouble. So that's a guy, you know. Do you gamble on a Trey Lyles? We talked about him a lot. He's only 5,100. How about this could be the steal? Kelly Olynyk's 4,900, Josh. If he gets 20 minutes at that price, I mean, so there are routes. You know, after that, it's a real crapshoot. But, you know, there are routes if you build with, you know, Olynyk, Lyles, and Papagiannis or Nembhard, you could take a Giannis and an SGA. So there's, you know, you can do the stars and scrubs to some extent. For me, I think I'm going to go star and a lot of mid-level guys, because I think guys that can break the slate are the Franz Wagners, the Jamal Murrays, the Dennis Schroeders, the Rui Hashimuras. I think those guys, you know, can have some really good stats. And it's going to be hard. People have trouble out of context. They like, okay, well, Rui's not that great. You know, he was okay for the Lakers, decent. Well, you got to remember, this is the Japanese team. He is the LeBron to the Japanese team, if you will. So, you know, you got to look at it in perspective and really change your thinking when it comes to building these lineups. And again, after maybe 3 games, everybody's going to see stats and have a feel. But at that point, it's a little tougher. But in these first round robin games, you can really kill it. These first 3 games, when it's round robin and people don't have a really strong feel, that's when you can plug in with some of these guys and make a big impact. So
and even some of the guys that aren't in the NBA, like Obst, or whatever, is that his name? Obst from Germany. That dude was killing it yesterday.
Let's see what his price is. I'll see if I can find him. Obst, he's 6,300. Yeah, he's a point guard and he can shoot it, and it's against Japan. So there's a great sleeper play for you too. That's a great call. And he's got some experience too, without question. I wonder if Marcelo Huertas from Brazil still has any game left. Those guys that have been around for a long time, have a soft spot, but you don't know if they're there more as mentor,
right.
Or are they really going to step up one last time? I mean, I would love to know if Nick Batum really has like super games left in him, or if he'll just, I mean, being that it's France and they're so talented, you got to think he's going to defer to some of the other guys. But, it's different when you play for your country and you watch these teams. There's a hierarchy, a lot of these rookie dudes you just don't see on the Olympics. It's like a badge of honor. You got to earn it. And just like you look at the women's team, they didn't take Clark or any of their, some of those youngsters because, it's the Tarazis and those that have been around and done that and have earned it. I mean, it's a different scenario than any other. That's why I love the Olympics and FIBA ball, because there's no money involved. There's no, it's just strictly honor, pride.
Country. Yeah.
Great stuff. No doubt. So that is really the breakdown, man. I mean, that gives you a little idea on the prices, being able to balance the 3-game slates. And remember, you're going to have a real long stretch. Like there's a Saturday game that's like 7:30 in the morning, and then a 11:15 a.m. and then 3 in the afternoon. So there's going to be a pretty big spread on those games as far as when they're played. But with in the Olympics does carry all the games, so it's not like even 8 years ago where if you wanted to see some of the other games, Germany, Japan, you couldn't see it. But now you'll have access to check out all the games. So
very good.
Yeah, it should be great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is it, my friend. I think that's pretty much all I've got there. I think it's going to be very competitive. I think that it's not a lay down layup for the U.S. at all. I think it's going to be very interesting, and I think getting KD back at some point, I think it's going to be important too. Because if it comes down to it, and there's one shot to be had, LeBron's going to kick it to KD. KD's going to take the biggest shot that there is. I know Curry will take them too, but if I really think in a tie game and it's the last shot, I think we need KD in there. So I hope he gets that calf better.
I hope he does too. Well, it's been really good, Coach. I appreciate you sharing all your valuable information and insight that you have on basketball in general, and especially the Olympic basketball. Should be a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully people will win some good money, especially like you said, those first couple slates. We really should have an edge on some of the competition for sure. So.
I hope so. And keep this handy. I mean, it should, if you need to listen and check on teams throughout, I mean, you should be able to bounce back and forth and maybe, get a little edge on a couple of these guys. But we wanted to keep it within an hour. We did that. So rambling wasn't too bad. And we got the old quizzes in there and everything else. So it's been great.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I appreciate you joining on the show today. And like I said before, everybody keep your thoughts and prayers for Doug. I'm not sure what's going on with him. I need to hopefully hear from him soon. Hope he's okay. We will have our next podcast, assuming Doug's okay, on Friday. Hopefully he will be. Otherwise, it'll be the following Friday. But I thank everybody for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. And we'll be back again soon as we do look to crush it in DFS and Prize Picks. Thank you.